Hey guys, this video is about a wife who is cheating with her husband. Like the video's comment and subscribe the channel, so let's start the video. This story starts off in 2024 while my spouse, Maria, and that I had been both 44 and 45. Till this factor, we were each fortunately married for 15 years with two outstanding sons. We were both very lots in love, as a minimum I thought. Our intercourse life wasn't exquisite, however. We had different approaches of showing affection. We had additionally never ever had any difficult intervals in our marriage at all. I myself am self-employed as a plumber, and that I've been doing this enterprise because around 2013-14 and on the time Maria changed into a pharmacist. And we have been both going strong in our careers and had been each incomes a respectable amount. One night, whilst our sons were in mattress, me and Maria have been downstairs and we decided to observe a film collectively on Netflix. We commenced watching this movie approximately how a poor woman who have been in poverty her whole lifestyles then joined an escorting company. This woman cited inside the film how she become incomes round $1,000 in line with consumer. Whilst the female said this, Maria's response turned into, "There's me spending hours a day in a pharmacy, incomes the equal amount a year as she does in a month." While she stated this, I didn't think something of it and simply responded with, "Yeah." After that, we loved the film, and once it ended, we went to sleep. After that night, our lifestyles become absolutely every day till approximately 1 month later. It becomes simply any other usual workday, and that I came domestic at around 3 p.m. after completing a task I had and selecting up the children from faculty, who were each 7. And at around 5 p.m., I got a text from Maria announcing that she changed into going for a drink with her pal after paintings for a while to capture up, which I stated become exceptional, so I fed the youngsters and put them to sleep. I was just watching soccer on TV and hadn't even realized the time while my wife got here domestic at around 8 p.m. I presume she have to have simply been having a very good time with her pal, so I didn't question her about something apart from asking her how it went. Straight after that, although she went up and had a shower, which became odd as ever seeing that we met, she has continually been a morning bathe individual. I didn't assume something of this, so afterward we each went to sleep as traditional, speedy forward to the weekend. Maria stated she changed into going out to the Metropolis Center for buying as she hadn't been in a long time. I presented to drop her off, however. She courteously said she would take her automobile, so she went, and that I stayed domestic and did household jobs. Maria were long past for 4 hours and I hadn't heard from her, so I rang her up to Pier while she changed into gonna be again, but she didn't solution. So I texted her asking when she's lower back. She didn't read it, so I then waited more or less 1/2 an hour and rang her again, and she or he didn't pick up. At this point, I started to get a chunk concerned. I worn out ringing her again and again for around 45 minutes, but she didn't choose up. Then, sooner or later, after being out for a total of 7 hours, she rang me up and said she became truly genuinely sorry that she hadn't spoke back. She claimed that her smartphone become out of power and had to discover and take a seat somewhere for it to price. I assumed her and forgave her, and while she got here domestic, we hugged and we stated the standard, "I love you," to every other. Maria then went to the shower. At this point, I nonetheless hadn't suspected an unmarried aspect. I suspected nothing of her for a whole 3 months after that, and existence then went on. During this 3 months, there had been a few events while she might meet up with a friend, and that I simply let her go. Then there were additionally some instances wherein she would work overdue, and she might say she's at the pharmacy till the store closes or something like that, and I would accept as true with her. She also commenced working a lot more often on Sundays. She did this sometimes besides, but on this term she became doing it a lot greater than ordinary. He additionally endured operating like every day for the duration of this time. Then one Friday, Maria came domestic from the pharmacy and stated that she have been invited to spend the night time at her friend's residence. I concept this was a little bizarre as this pal she changed into staying at commonly met with Maria loads of the time anyway, so I questioned why Maria wants to live over at her residence all of a unexpected. So I just agreed along with her and supplied to drop her off, but she stated she'll simply power. So after she went that nighttime, it become just me and the men. They have been just playing on their personal, and I was getting a bit bored. So then I determined that I could ask Maria's pal's husband, Dean, if he desires to come over for a pint, as us two had been quite top pals. I then proceed to ring Dean up and that I asked him, even as the women gossip at your property, if you want to come over to mine for a pint. He simply spoke back with, what do you suggest? My spouse is at domestic handiest with me. It changed into, at that moment, my coronary heart dropped. I then asked him if he become just joking, and he became being dead critical. I should even pay attention his spouse inside the heritage announcing it became best them at home. I then ended the smartphone and just stood up in notion for a second. I decided to ring up Maria, but she didn't reply. I rang her 3 extra instances after that, but she didn't answer. I also textual content her about 10 instances asking if she is okay, and she or he didn't reply. I then placed the youngsters to bed and became thinking about calling the police till I got a call from Maria saying that she changed into, very, very sorry for making you worry so much. She stated over the smartphone that she meant she was going to look her different pal and said the wrong call by coincidence and didn't answer the smartphone as they went for dinner. I then felt truly relieved but instructed her to preserve her cell phone on. After announcing goodnight to her, I went to sleep myself and kept thinking to myself, at the least she's okay. But one component kept troubling me become that, why become she at dinner for this type of long term? I then stopped thinking and went to sleep. Then tomorrow at around 1 p.m., Maria arrived home and she or he acted absolutely normal. I requested her how it changed into, and all she informed me turned into that her and her pal simply comfortable, chatted, and had a meal. We then went on as regular for every week until I got domestic someday, and the put-up guy came to deliver a parcel to our residence which turned into addressed to Maria. She rarely orders matters, so I waited till she got here home to provide it to her. She stated, "Oh, that need to be my new telephone." While she said that, my jaw dropped and that I replied, "But you already were given a brand new telephone some months ago, which I got you?" She then says, "Oh yeah, however I wanted a larger one, so I bought myself a brand new one." In spite of feeling a little down and confused why she sold a new smartphone, iPhone 6 Plus on the time, I allow it. Speedy forward 2 days later, she comes home from work with a present-day hair curler and hair dryer, which she offered after paintings. And they had been a surely high-priced brand too. I asked her why she is spending and essentially losing a lot cash on things she already has. Her response changed into, "Oh, I in no way buy myself high-quality new matters, so idea I might deal with myself." This wasn't like her, however. I just again permit it go. Even though it changed into bothering me, bearing in thoughts her birthday became in 6 weeks and I may want to have, we're giving her the gifts. Rapid ahead about every other week, we're simply sat at our dinner table with the boys chatting as regular as we ate. Once I saw Maria sporting a latest spanking smooth Pandora bracelet with a few fancy gems on it. I asked her while she got it. She stated, "Oh yeah, I forgot to tell you, I purchased a new bracelet. Do you like it?" I spoke back with, "It's cute, however, why are you spending a lot money all of a surprising on matters which aren't important? It's your birthday in only over a month." This truly bothered her that I used to be wondering her, and she stated to me in a slightly irritated voice, "Come on, I in no way buy myself matters and that I just simply desired it, and for my birthday, I don't want any gifts from you. All I want is to spend time with you." After this, we ate in silence as we didn't want to argue in the front of the children. But that had made me attain a tipping point, and I did have a bizarre feeling in my head. Earlier than we went to sleep that night time, I stated to Maria, I'm clearly glad that you're shopping for those lovable matters and enjoying them, but please be cautious with what you spend. She then stated, sorry, and she'll be careful from now. After that, we kissed and went to sleep. That feeling in my head had calmed down now, but I nevertheless had questions. In which is she getting this spare cash from? 3 greater weeks skip, 2 and 3 days surely. And one Saturday night, Maria says she's going out with her boss, who's a female, and some other colleague, who is additionally a girl, for a drink to a bar. I spend the following couple of hours at domestic with the youngsters. Then here's in which things get very exciting. At around 9 p.m., I am getting a phone name from one among my friends who I haven't spoke to for a few weeks, so I wondered why he became calling. I picked the cell phone up and he tells me that he's at a pub and has seen my spouse sat with a person about the equal age as me and that she is dressed up in a totally revealing dress and that he saw Maria and the person kiss some instances. When he said, my heart dropped and I was silent for a terrific 10 seconds. I responded with, excuse me? He says, mate, I'm being critical. I just changed into taking walks again from the restroom and noticed them sat collectively at a desk. I haven't said anything to them. When he stated this idea, he changed into just making it up, so requested him to send a photograph. But on the same time, I used to be wondering, how do I recognize if she genuinely went together with her paintings colleagues? My buddy then sent me an image. It became a piece a ways away as he didn't want to get stuck taking the photo, but I zoomed in on it and my jaw dropped and heart sank. That lady's turned into certainly Maria. She changed into sat with another guy, and she or he changed into carrying this sort of low-cut dress that nearly her complete breasts were protruding inside the open. I didn't even know she had a get dressed like that. But that wasn't on my mind. I started out shaking and almost tearing up. I asked my pal to tell me the deal of the pub they were at. So I ran to the automobile, leaving the lads at home, and drove half an hour as rapid as possible to the pub. I parked up and my mate turned into ready outdoor for me. We both went in quickly and pointed me toward Maria. I then checked out wherein he became pointing and completely froze. There she become, my spouse of 18 years sat there guffawing and giggling with a random man. All I ought to think about at the moment in my head turned into, oh my gosh, she is dishonest on me. She changed into carrying lovely makeup. She by no means looked like that with me. Her new Pandora, pink heels, and a get dressed which clearly gave the arena a superb view of her very huge breasts. Maria became the nice dressed person within the entire bar. I simply stood there staring at her. I then walked as much as her and rubbed her shoulder. Maria grew to become and looked at me. Her face went from all happy and smiley to a face of horror. I stated, Maria, what on the earth are you doing here? And who's this man? She stands up and puts her fingers on my fingers and says, honey, it's just a work colleague assembly. Don't enhance your voice. After she stated that, I then said, carrying a get dressed like that? Not a hazard. You're coming with me. So I picked her bag up and started out walking out the bar with Maria following me as she talked some random gibberish. During this time, the fellow she turned into with changed into completely silent. We both sat within the vehicle and Maria right away burst out crying and sobbing. In a relaxed voice, I say to her, now please inform me, Maria, who that guy changed into, and how long has this been occurring between you two? Nevertheless, sobbing her eyes out, she's responded with, no, we don't have a relationship and we are not dating. This become our first time assembly. I say, then who turned into he? And why are you sporting one of these sexy dress? Maria then goes on to inform me that for the beyond few months she has been operating for a high-class escorting organization and that she stopped her activity as a pharmacist then too. All the one's instances she has been coming domestic overdue, meeting a pal. She becomes certainly spending the time with a client. All of the hours all through the day I was made to accept as true with she spent at the pharmacy. She turned into definitely with customers all that time. She claimed that she simply earned so much money from the primary week of doing it that she ended her real activity and did escorting full-time. She didn't need to inform me as she knew I wouldn't permit it. This all explains why she changed into buying a majority of these incredibly costly gadgets. She told me she got the idea while we watched the movie Approximately the Escort Female some months in the past. And although it became a fictional individual, she felt jealous and that she will be earning so much greater. I just couldn't believe all of it this time, what she has been doing all because of a silly film. Then I asked her a large query. Have you ever been snoozing with these customers? She spoke back with yes, which I wasn't surprised with. She then is going directly to announcing how she wants me to forgive her and that she loves me and we can fix this, and she'll forestall working for the corporation, and he or she didn't have intercourse with every unmarried consumer. However, I had sufficient. I drove Maria immediately to her mother and father house and left her there. Once I were given again domestic myself, I just sat inside the corner of my room in silence, just processing the state of affairs. All ought to assume changed into how ought to this sort of glad and best married existence trade so considerably in just multiple months because of a few silly film. After this, there was lots extra speaking and working things out, and in the end of it all, me and Maria had been divorced. Considering the fact that then I appearance after the children and Maria moved in with her dad and mom, each weekend the boys get picked up and spend the weekend with Maria. Ever when you consider that I've been living a glad unmarried lifestyles.